Welcome to Ladders, FTW's weekly fantasy football segment where we're talking about guys climbing up your waiver wire and the guys on your roster you might want to drop them for. My name is Christian DeAndre. I am joined by Rhode Island scumbag Mike Boyajian. Yash, how you doing?
Doing great. Glad to be here.
Love to hear that. Let's talk about the guys we're tinkering with. The drafts are over. We're about on the eve of the regular season. Three guys are on my mind right now. Let's start at the top. 15% owned, New England Patriots wideout DeMario Douglas. The way this works, I'm going to give you three guys. We're going to start at their level. We're going to go up a tier. We're going to go up a tier. Would you add DeMario Douglas if it meant dropping Xavier Legette? Yash, you taking Legette over DeMario Douglas?
Ooh, I'm taking Douglas. I don't know if it's the homer in me, but I think he's got more opportunities out the gate, and they're going to be sustainable. I think he's going to be there for the year versus somebody like Legette. When Coker comes back in 4 weeks, he might completely lose his opportunities there. He's also got Hunter Renfrow to deal with, and ultimately, I don't think he's going to have enough opportunity to compete with Douglas.
You know what? For me, Legette's the upside's too high. Former first-round pick. A lot of targets to go around in Carolina, and Bryce Young rising. Dave Canales knows what he's doing. I think I like that upside a little bit more than Douglas's, where he's going to have a ton of catches, but maybe not a ton of yards. Legette's got that shiftiness. I think he's going to get free breakthrough for a bunch of 100-yard games this year. Let's go one step up. Adam Thielen, Minnesota Vikings.
Once again, I'm going to go with Douglas here. Thielen was still with the Panthers. It'd be a whole different story. But considering that he is going to be significantly lower on the depth chart in Minnesota, I still like the upside of Douglas versus the familiarity of Thielen.
Agreed there. Thielen's an old man, relatively, obviously. Still very efficient, but he's going to catch up to him at some point. And once Addison comes back from that suspension, we're looking at maybe option 3, 4. Whereas Douglas is going to be the number 2 guy pretty much all season in New England, barring something wild happening.
Right.
Finally, a little bit surprising, this guy's been drafted about 20 spots higher than DeMario Douglas. Jonnu Smith, tight end, Pittsburgh Steelers. Who are you going with?
I'm going Douglas. I don't know if this is the Miami inflation from last year or what, but this is a tight end who's going to be splitting time with another tight end. Never mind the Arthur Smith offense. And I just don't think there's going to be anything anywhere near consistent enough to trust him week to week. I'd much rather have Douglas in this situation personally.
Yeah, I don't love the timeshare. I don't love the quarterback. Aaron Rodgers is getting a little bit decrepit. And what, best case scenario, who turns him into Big Bobby Funyuns, Robert Tunyon from way back in the day, by which I mean like 2021. You get it, though. No, I'm out. Give me DeMario Douglas and that experience. However, not the only guy we're talking about today. Let's go down to the rookie ranks. 3rd rounder, Detroit Lions, Isaac TeSlaa. Would you take Isaac TeSlaa over his nearby draft mate, tight end, Isaiah Likely, Baltimore Ravens?
In this case, I'm going to lean wide receiver over tight end when it comes to both opportunity and upside. I do realize Likely, he's a great talent. He obviously put on a show for us week 1 last year when he got the opportunities. The only thing I worry about, once again, it comes down to opportunity. And it's not just Tesla's opportunity. Likely also still is competing with Mark Andrews for snaps. So when we got wide receiver versus tight end, I'm typically going to go wide receiver in that respect.
See, I'm going to go the opposite direction. Tight end is a scarce place. You need that upside, and Isaiah Likely has that upside. Mark Andrews on his way down a little bit, injury risk, maybe a little bit of a head case after how he closed out the season last year. And on top of that, I mean, Likely is a guy on the rise with a receiving core that isn't really that great next to him. DeAndre Hopkins, Rashad Bateman. I don't know if you can count on him at this point. So I want the upside of Isaiah Likely over a guy like Isaac TeSlaa. Next step up. Another rookie taking a little bit ahead of my boy Isaac, Los Angeles Chargers wideout Trey Harris.
All right. So I was actually faced with this situation myself in my home league, and I stuck with Harris in this situation. Now, I do understand that we have Keenan Allen back in the mix, but Tesla's buried right now on his depth chart. And unfortunately for him, I don't think he's going to have as many opportunities to show early in the season that Trey Harris might. I think there's a lot more ambiguity with Harris and the receiver room he's part of. And I'd rather just take that risk. I don't want to drop Harris and then see him eventually find a role. So I'm just going to stick with Harris on this one. They're both very talented receivers, but Harris for me.
See, for me, we got two different day two rookies that are about third on the wide receiving depth chart right now. TeSlaa, for me, impressed the Lions enough that they traded away Tim Patrick, who's a great blocker, great locker room guy, big bodied. So it suggests to me that he's going to use him more in the red zone. They're going to use him as a possession receiver as well as a downfield threat. Harris, like the guy, but it's a Jim Harbaugh offense. They're going to be pretty run heavy. We don't know what the Lions are going to look like yet, but give me the unknown. Give me something a little bit more exotic, like a Division II guy that moved up to Arkansas. And still, well, he did okay. He didn't kill. He did okay. Finally, former Charger, now Buffalo Bill, maybe third on the call sheet up there, Josh Palmer.
All right. It might be a little surprising here because I usually tend to go towards the rookies, but I'm going with Palmer.
Wow.
There's a lot of talk about him and the rapport he's developing with Allen, especially with Shakir going down early in camp. We don't know when he's going to be back and 100%. So there's a lot of opportunity out there for him. He's the type of guy who could work in the slot. He can work outside. And Allen's Allen. I mean, I'll take Josh Allen throwing the ball to, any of his receivers, and he can make it work. So I'm going to go Palmer on this one. It might not be the popular decision, but I'm going to roll with it.
I love Josh Palmer. He does the right things, but he never really has that breakout, right? We keep waiting for it. Whereas TeSlaa's, maybe I'm banking too much on potential, but here's a guy who's going to be working in an offense that does push the ball downfield, who does combine a lot of things the Lions already do well, plus that big body they didn't already have. So as much as I like Josh Palmer, it's going to be the rookie at Hillsdale College. For me. Finally, one last guy. You and I have talked about him before. 5th round pick, another rookie, Tory Horton, Seattle Seahawks. Now, obviously, he's way a little bit further down draft boards. So let's start with, would you take him over fellow rookie Pat Bryant, Denver Broncos?
I would drop Pat Bryant for Horton. I think Horton has better opportunities ahead. He is going to be a part of the 3 wide receiver sets right out the gate. Unlike what's going on in Denver, I think he's buried on the depth chart at this point. Between Franklin and Mims, it sounds like those two are going to be playing ahead of him, as well as Sutton. You still have Evan Engram to deal with, and RJ Harvey's going to be catching passes out of the backfield. So there's a lot of mouths to feed in that Denver offense. Give me the opportunity for Horton in Seattle.
Yeah, I agree with you there. I think Horton's going to have a few more snaps in him than maybe Pat Bryant does. But also, I think I kind of trust Sam Darnold more than Bo Nix, 2 guys who really built themselves up with great 2024s. We don't really know what the encore is going to be.
Right.
I think Darnold really needs to go out there and prove himself still. I think he's going to be slinging a lot of passes downfield with Marquez Valdez-Scantling gone. That means that Tory Horton is your guy. Next up, a guy I don't believe is getting drafted at all, but here we are. Miles Sanders, running back, Dallas Cowboys. A testament to what a mess the Cowboys running back room is. Yaj, are you taking Miles Sanders or Tory Horton?
The only way I'm taking Miles Sanders is if I have 2 running backs on my roster and he was my 3rd guy on the bench. Other than that, Horton all day long. I think Blue is actually going to be the number 2 running back in Dallas. I don't really see much of a role for Sanders. There really hasn't been much noise about him in the preseason. Got hurt on top of it, so it's not like he's been really making a name for himself in Dallas. Once again, give me Horton and the opportunity he's going to have. I think he could be a special player this year.
Yeah, don't rely on name value. Miles Sanders hasn't been good in a long time now. And yes, there's going to be opportunity in that Dallas backfield because everyone's at least kind of bad. Javonte Williams looking at you especially. But take the upside. Get a guy who's going to be in a passing game that's probably going to be airing it out quite a bit. We'll see. I think he's going to get a lot more routes run than Miles Sanders is going to get targets or carries. And finally, Dante Thornton, another rookie. This guy, went from we're talking about Pete Carroll's old team. Now we're talking about his new team. He's with the Las Vegas Raiders. Thornton or Horton?
Actually, I'm going to go Thornton here on this one. I think Thornton and Horton play very similar roles. And Both of them have the same skill set. I think Thornton is going to have more opportunity out the gate. It sounds like he's playing in 2 wide receiver sets. You do have to worry about Bowers, which most teams don't have to worry about a pass-catching tight end like Bowers. But still, I think Thornton is going to be kind of like the take the top off the defense type of guy. So he could be your, splash play type wide receiver 3/flex, someone you can definitely rely on as the season goes on. Just got to give it a couple weeks to see how it's going to shake out. But I'm going with Thornton in this one.
I do believe Thornton is going to fill the role they wanted Trey Tucker to fill, and he couldn't really get it done last season. At the same time, though, it's Geno Smith and Pete Carroll. I think you're going to be seeing a lot of ground-based attacks, especially with Ashton Jeanty there. So I'm actually going to roll with Horton again on this one, drafted a few rounds later. But I think he's got as much opportunity as Thornton does to really go out there and make an impact. And I loved what he did in college. I love how he lit up Mountain West defenses before he got hurt. This is a guy I do trust for someone who's maybe 3% owned in Yahoo leagues. I mean, I got him on my bench in the Rhode Island Scumbag League. I think you should too.